One of the reasons Jerry was such a wonderful choreographer was he said, "What are they dancing about?" The show has a prologue. And the day before he was to go and rehearse, he said to me, "I can't do it." I said, "Why?" He said, "What are they dancing about? What's the story?" So I wrote him a scenario, which he followed where he wanted and departed from where he wanted.
Robert Wise told me that with the prologue, he was the one that put that on Jerry's shoulders, and Jerry kind of shrugged it off and said, "Well, you've given me the biggest challenge right off the bat, which is how to put this realistic New York urban setting together with the stylized dancing, and how can we get the audience to accept that?" The way it was done was very slowly. You see the gang coming down the street, and the music is in the background, and it's one shoulder move or one finger snap, and it slowly evolves into all of the action from there. And that was really a stroke of genius that was Jerry Robbins.
Originally, the master shot followed us all the way down the street. It was a whole block of dancing, and it was in the summer. It was like 110 degrees, so it was extremely hot and painful to be dancing on cement all day long. Jerry and Bob Wise would have their viewfinders and look at us, trying to figure out, what angles to shoot us at. And then they'd break up and we'd do lots of different angles. And that came from Robert Wise. One of his theories was you could never have too many different angles. And Jerry really took him up on that and wanted even more, I think, than Bob did.
He used a lot of tricks which he devised himself. Shooting from cranes to the particular angles that he chose, to digging a trench and shooting from ground level. And all of that in his hands was something new. We're used to seeing that type of thing now in filmmaking. We're technically so far beyond this, but at the time this was all very novel, and he was just having fun with it.
The prologue, I think, took 2 months to sort of choreograph before we even came to New York. And then when we got to New York, it was changed daily by what the shot looked like and by what the street was. That was Jerry. He just wouldn't settle for anything but perfection. He changed everything when we got to New York. There are a lot of similarities in the steps, but the formations would change to fit the location. A lot of the directions were changed, and alleys were changed, and things like that.
They used West 61st Street, where now Lincoln Center is. That had a perfect background and feel to it for both Wise and Jerry Robbins, but there was no playground. The playground was on East 110th Street in a very Puerto Rican neighborhood. If you watch the film, you'll see the gang running and leaping into the air, and they're doing that on West 61st Street. And where you see them come down in the playground, they're actually on East 110th Street.
Well, it was extremely athletic. You needed to be in the best of shape, and it wasn't only just dancing, it was physicality as well. I mean, we were banging bodies out there, and you were constantly jumping over somebody or around them or underneath them. It always looked easy, but it was difficult. Betty Wahlberg would give us beats in her piano because a lot of the prologue hadn't been written yet, and a lot of the accents were on strange things. We had to just drill. We were drilled with that stuff because a lot of it doesn't come naturally. Counts on funny beats.
He would try to capture the entire kinetic image of the body in motion. He wanted to see the whole movement sequence from beginning to end. He knew with film that he could cover it more fully by shooting from a number of different angles and making sure that the cuts were in harmony with the music and the movement that was on screen.
It took a long time, and I think that that's probably one of the reasons why we went way over schedule while we were shooting here in New York.
I think we were scheduled to be in New York for 2 or 3 weeks. It was 2 months altogether, maybe even more, because it rained a lot.
Come on, break it up!
And then, of course, we all loved being in New York, and we loved the way it was working, and so we would do rain dances to make it rain. Ironically, a few of those times it would rain, so we were forbidden by Bob Relier, the assistant director, to do any more rain dances. We thought it was silly, but we did them anyhow.